Good morning, everybody. This is Mark from Big Blue Laser Designs, and it is a dreary, rainy Saturday morning outside here in Oklahoma. But it's really great in here because we're going to make another really great design you're going to love. Today I'm going over the split monogram with leaves design. Now, granted, that's kind of a lame name, but it describes what it is, so I'm rolling with it. So here's what they look like. They're really, really simple to make and they look great. They only take one sheet of material, so they're economical, they're great to sell, so you can make some money, they're great to give as gifts, however you want. They start out about 10 inches across, but that size can vary just a little bit depending on the font and the size of the font that you choose right here, because that will push it this way or this way depending on the font. But it's about 10 inches. And what's really great is because it will also fit on one sheet of material, you can make this on a laser like a Glowforge, and it's really easy to do. You can use 1/4 inch material like I did here, or you can use 1/8 inch or mix those together. It doesn't matter. It really just depends on what look you're going for, but predominantly you can make it with whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. Also, I'll show you a couple of examples here, but I enjoy painting a fade color in the background from one to another. Sometimes they're subtle, sometimes they're not. And then do a contrasting color on the monogram letter there. So like, for example, here's the letter A. Here's a B that I made for Barkley. And again, faded a color in the background. That looks nice. Just again, a contrasting color in the front. Letter C. Of course, C is for Collier, not for Cookie. But that's another look you can do. Here's D, like this. And then I'm going to show you a special tip at the end of this video on how to do something that I did here. It's subtle at first, but this is Edwards. And you'll see that, ooh, almost dropped it. You'll see that these letters here, I left them unglued so you can see them. When they're separate like this, you can put them in there and paint them a different color and glue them in to give it a little more contrast rather than painting the letters of the word and the background all the same color. So I'll teach you how to do that as well. Let's jump into the file, and I'll be using Illustrator, but the concept is really easy and you can do it with just about any program. So let's jump into how to make these files and a little couple tips and tricks along the way. All right, let's jump in and do this. This is going to be really easy. You're going to love it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the A here, select both pieces. I'm just going to move it off to the side so we have some room to work with. And now I'm going to take the leaf circle and kind of move it to the center again just so I can work with that as well. So the first thing we want to do is we want to type out the name we're going to use. So in this case, we're going to use Anderson. So I'm going to go to the text tool, and I'm going to type out Anderson, A-N-D-E-R-S-O-N, and I'll zoom out a little bit. Sorry about that. And I'm not going to worry about the size of it right this second. We'll get to that in a moment. So now I'm going to choose the font that I want to use, and I'm going to use Baskerville Bold. You can use whatever font you want. I prefer ones that have serifs, which is for this particular one because it looks really classy. And serifs are those shapes that are at the end of each one of the legs or the arms of the font. You can use whatever you want, but that's what I prefer. And then sometimes I play with the distance between the letters or the character spacing, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do that or not. We'll see that in just a second. So let's just drag it down here to this space, and let's take a look at what we've got going on here. So I gotta say, just accidentally, I kind of like the width of the name right now from the A to the N. It fits really nicely, so I kind of dig that. The height, I think we can mess with. Let me show you a tip. Tip number one here. You can, with this leaf border, I'm going to ungroup it real quick. What you're going to do is you're going to move these down and up to get it to kind of touch the top and the bottom of Anderson. But I want to show you something just to make a point. If you were to have a really large font, you could end up like down here if the font was really tall. And you see that that makes kind of an oval instead of a circle. And that's okay if that's the shape that you like. That's no problem. But I just want you to pay attention when you're working on the size of the font. Pay attention to the shape of that the leaves make and see if you like it or not before you make it permanent, all right? So you know what? I think we're kind of getting lucky here. I kind of like it. There's a couple things I want to fix, and I'll show you how. I don't love how uneven the spacing is. Like, for example, you see how close together the A and the N appear, and then how far apart the N and the D and then the D and the E, it looks unbalanced. So we're going to work on that for a second. I'll show you how. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Anderson and right click and create outlines. Hopefully you know how to do this in your program by now. It's really easy. But I'm going to create outlines. And now those individual letters cannot be changed to other letters. It's not a font anymore. It's just a shape. And then I'm going to select it again, right click and ungroup. So that way I can move each individual letter. So I like the A and the N that close. So I'm just going to take the D and arrow key it over about like that. And we're just going to move everybody over. Everybody slide one seat to the left. And we'll just see if that feels any better. And again, you don't have to do this. It's totally up to you. I like using the arrow keys also because when I use my mouse or my trackpad, sometimes I don't drag it straight. So I'm going to do this with the arrow keys. And one more letter. So now we've gotten this a little better balanced visually. And that's given us some room on the left and the right from the A to the N. So what we can do is we can, first of all, just group it back together, Command G. And now we got it grouped. And I'm just going to kind of try to center it. In fact, what you can do is select all three pieces and go to a line, horizontal align center. And now we've got it centered from left to right. Now, I got to be honest, I'm still kind of okay with the space that's on the left and the right of the A and the N. But we'll go ahead and make it a little bigger. And see what we think about that. Yeah, okay, I'm still good with that. So let's select them all again, hit Align Center. I dig it. I think that's nice. The fact that it's not a perfect circle, I don't even notice. It doesn't bother me. So now what we're going to do is we're going to select the top part of the leaf circle. We're going to arrow it down, arrow key down a little bit until you make sure that all of the letters are overlapping slightly into the leaf area, because if you don't, when we unite this together, it's not going to work. All right, and then we're going to take the bottom and bring it back up and make sure everything is in there, at least a little bit. Yep, they are. All right, we are almost done already. This is really easy, but I want you to do something for me. Select your name, Anderson or whatever you're making, and copy and paste it off to the side here, because we're going to do something as that special bonus thing I told you I was going to teach you. Put it off to the side for a minute. We'll come back to that, okay? All right, now we are just about done. All we do is select all three layers and go to Pathfinder Unite or Weld or whatever your program uses. And now look at that. It is all one piece. And all you do now is cut it out, paint it, and then you can grab the A over here. Of course, you won't be doing it in this program. You'll be doing it live. And after you paint those, you'll glue them together. And of course, you'll make those line up and it'll look really, really great. So if that's all you guys want to do, you are done with class. You're welcome to leave and go on about your day. But I'm going to show you how I did this, because when you have it the way that we just did it together, the back piece with the leaves and Anderson really kind of have to be painted the same color, because it's really hard to paint it when it's all one piece if you want to paint them different colors. But I really like the contrast here, and I'm going to show you the way I did it. So if you want to learn, stick around. We'll jump into the next part real quick. Boop. Hey, cool. You're still here. All right, let's jump into this. Now, again, remember, I'm using Illustrator. So what I'm going to do here, there's probably several ways to do it, both in Illustrator as well as other programs. But as long as you understand the idea, it shouldn't be difficult at all. And I'm not an Illustrator expert, so if there's a better, faster way to do this, somebody let me know in the comments. But it's really not difficult. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to grab that Anderson that we kept down here earlier, and we're going to move it, and we're going to put it right on top of the other one that we used, okay? And let me zoom in so you can see it a little better. In fact, I'll get rid of the sidebar here. We'll get nice and big so we can see it. And now what we're going to do is we're going to draw two rectangles over top of these bars that are here so that we can cut that rectangle out of Anderson so that these letters will fit perfectly in there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to grab my rectangle tool, and I'm going to just simply draw a rectangle right over top of this other one here. And I know I don't have it quite long enough, so let's do that. Zoom out a little bit. Let me grab the end here, and I'm going to make it a perfect rectangle right on top of that other rectangle, okay? And I'm going to copy and paste that rectangle, and you probably can guess what I'm doing next. I'm going to put it on top of the one on the bottom. So we've got a top and a bottom one there. So I'm going to select the top one, the bottom one, and I'm going to select Anderson. So now I've got the top, bottom, and Anderson selected. I'm going to go over to Pathfinder, and I'm going to use Divide. That's going to basically cut all of the pieces from each other, so there's going to be little scraps left. Again, there might be other ways to do this, but this is the way I've done it, and it works fine for me. So I'm going to hit Divide, and it doesn't look like anything happened, but if we drag this down here, let's drag it way down here, and we'll go down here to work with it. Now, if we ungroup this, you're going to see then that if we can delete this rectangle, we can delete this rectangle, and you're going to see now that there are some pieces left over. And if we are zoomed in far enough, we might be able to just grab, just by barely selecting all of these and hit delete. You see we've deleted the top of all the letters, and then there's a couple of these stray shapes and lines left that we don't need. So we can go ahead and delete these. Now, by the way, if you don't delete these and just cut it, just cut it like it is, it's okay, because you're still going to have all the pieces that you need. So you actually could just cut it the way you had it if you wanted to. And but I'm going to go ahead and delete these just because, well, I get distracted by them. Let's see if I can do this. See if I can just barely select all those, most of those. And you see that what we're going to end up with is Anderson that is exactly the size, including the cut off parts, that we can just put, that we can just put right back in there. All right. This is really riveting video, I know. And again, you can cut it just like that, and there's a couple little lines left in there, but it's okay. And then now, if you wanted to, you could group it back together, and you could cut this piece separately, like right here with the rest of it, and then when you get done, it will fit perfectly right into there. So it'll look like, boom, that. I love doing this because it gives me the opportunity, again, to paint these separately. I spray paint everything, so that way I can spray paint it and then stick it in there. I don't have to worry about masking or anything like that. So that's my other tip for that. I hope you guys love these. I'd love to see what you make with them. They are really fun. I think they're going to make you some great gifts and make some money. Let me know if you have any questions. Love you guys. Talk to you later.